Buffalo Bills showed up in a big way, and if there was ever any doubt about what this team can do on the ground, they just erased it. A dominant win over the Jets wasn't just about the scoreboard. It was about physicality, execution, and a rushing attack that finally lived up to its potential. James Cook had a breakout game. The offensive line did its part, and the tight ends? Man, they were everywhere. This wasn't just running the ball. It was sending a message. Let's start with what stood out the most, the run game. The Bills ran the ball 43 times for over 220 yards and punched it in for 3 touchdowns. But the real star of the day was James Cook, who absolutely exploded. He finished with more than 130 yards and found the end zone twice. But it wasn't just about the stat sheet. It was how he got those yards. Cook looked like the game slowed down for him. That's what elite backs do. When a running back is truly in his zone, it's not just about hitting a hole. It's about feeling the defense, reading leverage, and reacting like he's 2 steps ahead. And Cook was doing that all day. The way he was able to make multiple cuts, slide through lanes, and find daylight, even when it looked like there was nothing there, that was special. And look, it's easy to focus just on the guy with the ball, but this game doesn't happen without what the Bills did with their tight ends. Dawson Knox, Dalton Kincaid, and Jackson Hall were all over the field, and they weren't just standing in formations. They were moving bodies. These weren't just decoy alignments. These tight, interleading blocks, sealing edges, pulling into gaps. And Knox in particular, he was blowing open lanes left and right. Every time you saw Cook hit a lane untouched, it felt like number 88 had something to do with it. Hall was his usual self, physical and consistent. And while Kincaid isn't the same kind of inline blocker, even he got involved, including on that Elijah Moore touchdown where he drove a cornerback 10 or 15 yards downfield. That's effort. That's buy-in. And that's why this run game clicked. Now here's what's crazy. The Bills did all of that against stacked boxes. More than a third of their runs came against defenses loading up to stop the run. And despite that, Buffalo ranked second in the league in expected points added per rush this week. That's efficiency. That's toughness. That's scheme. And that's where the coaching deserves credit too. This wasn't just handing it off and hoping for the best. The Bills mixed in zone and gap runs with balance and creativity. They didn't become predictable. They created advantageous angles, especially for the tight ends, and trusted Cook to make the right decisions. That trust paid off in a big way. And this wasn't just about wearing down a defense. This was about stressing them, outsmarting them, and straight up out-executing them. The Bills ran it with attitude, with design, and with purpose. Now, let's flip to the passing game. This wasn't Josh Allen's most efficient outing. 14 completions on 25 attempts for under 150 yards, but context matters. First off, the Jets completely flipped the script on defense. Coming into the game, the expectation was man coverage and pressure, especially from a coordinator like Aaron Glenn. But instead, the Bills got zone. A lot of zone. The Jets dropped their man coverage rate from 50% down to under 30%. That's a huge shift. Blitz rate dropped too, from 35% to just 20%. The game plan the Bills prepared for, it had to be thrown out the window on the fly. You could see it in the timing of the plays. The routes were designed to beat man. And when you suddenly face zone, that changes the windows, the timing, and the way your quarterback has to process. It wasn't just the scheme either. There were a couple of key drops, including 2 from Dawson Knox, that stalled drives. And then you add in a questionable offensive pass interference call on Keon Coleman. That wipes out not just a completion, but another set of downs. You lose rhythm. You lose possessions, and that reflects in the passing numbers. But perhaps the biggest issue in the air was the pocket. Josh Allen had a lot of traffic around his feet. The offensive line, especially the interior, had some miscommunications and some quick losses in protection. That meant Allen didn't have the clean pockets he needed to step into throws or stick with longer developing reads. A lot of the progressions he wanted to hit were cut short because he had to move. And when you're moving before you want to, you're no longer reading the defense, you're surviving. Still, despite all that, there were some encouraging signs. One of the biggest was the connection between Allen and Josh Palmer. It's not fully there yet, but it's close. You could see it developing. Palmer was creating separation, especially vertically and the ball just didn't get there, often because of pressure. But when it did, it was clean. You could feel it coming. Like a breakout performance is right around the corner. Allen is looking his way more. The separation is happening. The chemistry is building. It's just a matter of time before that pairing turns into a serious problem for defenses. Overall, this was a statement win. A performance that showed growth, physicality, and an offense that is starting to find its identity. Not just as a passing attack with an elite quarterback, but as a complete unit that can run, block, and wear down defenses. And the fact that they did it while still leaving points on the table, that should have fans excited. Because this team isn't close to its ceiling yet. On the defensive side of the ball, the Bills delivered what might have been their most complete showing in quite some time. After a rough start to the season in Week 1, where the run defense looked flat-out vulnerable, the unit bounced back in a huge way against the Jets. This wasn't just a few players stepping up. It was a full-team effort, 11 guys playing with discipline, intensity, and purpose. The most telling stat? Just one missed tackle all game. One. In the entire game. That's not just rare, that's elite. And it speaks volumes about the mindset and preparation of this group. The run defense in particular was the backbone of this performance. Without Ed Oliver, who had been the best player on the field the previous week, you might have expected a drop-off. Instead, what you saw was a unit that played sound, gap-responsible football. Deion Walker and TJ Sanders weren't flashy, but they didn't need to be. They did their jobs, they held their ground, and they gave the linebackers and safeties clean opportunities to make plays. That's what good defensive line play is all about, doing the dirty work so others can shine. Daquan Jones and Zion Log followed the same blueprint. Just solid, fundamental football. No busted assignments. No missed fits. Just everyone doing exactly what the scheme called for. The secondary played with the same edge. Christian Benford had one of his best games in a Bills uniform. 2 plays in particular stand out, blowing up a reverse and making a perfect open field stop on Breece Hall on 3rd down. Those are game-changing plays. And it wasn't just the technique, it was the effort, the commitment to not letting the ball past him. That kind of tackling from a cornerback isn't something you see every day. Then there's Tre'Davious White, back on the field and already making an impact. What impressed most wasn't the coverage, though that was solid, but the physicality in the run game. On multiple occasions, the Bills asked him to be the edge defender against the run, and he stepped up with force. That's a sign he's truly back. Cole Bishop also took a huge step forward. His timing, his reads, his aggression, it was all crisper than it had been in Week 1. You could see the game slowing down for him. He was trusting what he saw and flying to the ball. When a young safety starts playing fast and physical without second-guessing, that's when the big plays start coming. Taylor Rapp and Damar Hamlin rotated in as well. And while they didn't have huge splash plays, they kept everything in front and limited explosive gains. That's exactly what this defense needed. And how about the play calling? Bobby Babich kept things simple. And that was exactly the right move. With so many young players up front, overcomplicating things would have been a mistake. Instead, the defensive staff leaned into fundamentals, trusted players to win one-on-one battles, and avoided getting too cute. You saw some slanting to attack the strength of the formation. You saw some well-timed run blitzes, but nothing over the top. Just clean, calculated defense. It worked. One of the more interesting wrinkles was how the Bills used Javon Solomon. He got a lot of reps rushing from the interior, which wasn't something many expected. Greg Rousseau had been talked about as a candidate for those inside rush snaps, but Solomon got the nod. And while he didn't record a big stat line, he stayed in his lane, created interior pressure, and showed he can be part of the plan going forward. And that opens up even more possibilities once someone like Michael Hoy returns. You start to imagine rush packages with Oliver and Hoy inside, Boza and Rousseau on the edge. That's scary potential. Speaking of pressure, the Bills continued to use 5-man pressures at a steady clip. Even though the game got lopsided and the playbook stayed somewhat vanilla late, Buffalo still sent extra rushers on nearly a quarter of the Jets' passing plays. That's a high number considering the game script, and it shows a willingness to stay aggressive even when the lead is comfortable. And when you don't have to empty the tank in a blowout, but still flash what your pressure looks like. That's a great spot to be in, especially on a short week with Miami coming up. What's encouraging about this defensive performance is that it felt sustainable. It wasn't built on crazy turnovers or broken plays by the offense. It was sound, it was structured, and it was executed. These weren't fluke stops. These were earned. Everyone knew their job. Everyone played fast. And the attitude was different. There was a hunger, a physical edge that simply wasn't there in Week 1. That's the kind of effort that can carry into bigger games. The Bills also managed the snap counts well. No defensive lineman had to play more than 26 snaps. Most were hovering in the low 20s. That's huge when you think about maintaining freshness over the course of a season, especially with a Thursday night game coming up. On the back end, Cole Bishop once again led the way with all 47 defensive snaps, showing how quickly he's earned the trust of the coaching staff. But no one else is being overworked. It's a rotation that's working, and it's allowing the young players to get comfortable without being overwhelmed. Before we dive back in, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest Buffalo Bills updates straight to your screen. And hey, don't hold back. Let us know your thoughts on today's news down in the comments. Whispers are swirling around the NFL this week as Buffalo Bills head coach Sean McDermott reportedly delivered a blunt message that has sent shockwaves through the league. One of the team's key players, whose identity remains tightly under wraps, doesn't play with me anymore, McDermott allegedly said in a private setting that has since leaked to the media. While neither the team nor the player has confirmed the details, insiders suggest this could mark the beginning of a dramatic shift in the Bills' roster ahead of the upcoming season. Fans are already speculating wildly. Is this a veteran whose time in Buffalo has come to an abrupt end? Or is it a younger star whose relationship with McDermott has soured behind the scenes? The cryptic nature of the coach's comment has fueled rampant debate across social media, with pundits dissecting every past performance, every sideline interaction, and every cryptic quote from McDermott for clues. Sources close to the team hint that tensions have been simmering for months. The player in question is reportedly frustrated with his role and the coaching staff's approach, while McDermott has grown increasingly intolerant of what he perceives as a lack of alignment with the team's strategy. Whether this disagreement is about playing time, scheme fit, or personality clashes remains unclear, but the underlying message seems unmistakable. McDermott is ready to move on without him. As always, the NFL thrives on unpredictability, and the Bills could now be facing a tough decision. Will they try to mend fences behind closed doors, or is this the prelude to a high-profile trade or release? Rival teams are already rumored to be circling, seeing an opportunity to snap up talent that Buffalo appears willing to part with. For now, all anyone can do is watch and wait. If McDermott's words are anything to go by, the Bills' locker room may be on the brink of one of the most talked-about shakeups in recent memory, and fans are bracing themselves for news that could redefine the team's trajectory. The NFL rumor mill is officially heating up, and this latest bombshell ensures that Buffalo will be the center of the gossip storm for weeks to come. That's a wrap for now. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay on top of all things Buffalo Bills, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. We'd love to hear what you think in the comments. See you in the next update.